So welcome to the next set of Hidden Cup. What Hidden Cup? This is not even Hidden Cup. I just casted so much Hidden Cup that that's my standard intro message for 2 months now. But this is 2 qualifiers. Horde versus Hallis+BlinG. The player names are flipped, but we'll fix that on the overlay in a matter of moments. But Horde is Dragonstar and Spring, and Hallis+BlinG is Hallis and Samayan K. Hallis will be playing with a fellow British player, Samayan K, also known as Bling. He used to be a very high-level Age of Empires player who went and left Age of Empires for competitive StarCraft, became an extremely good StarCraft player, and played in a lot of tournaments. And then he came back to Age of Empires not too long ago. This is, I think, the first major tournament that Bling is going to play in. Samayan K, as far as I know, is his civilian name, so that is why he's using that. So the team names are what you're gonna have to look at. So Horde is gonna have Team Islands and the Regicide Fortress as their home maps, Coast to Mountain and Cape of Storms for Hallis and Bling, and the civilizations being Vikings and Britain's global ban, Mongol, Saracen, Ethiopian, Burmese first pick, alongside Lithuanians for Dragonstar and Spring, Burgundians, Spanish, Cumans, Koreans, and Bulgarians will be the civilizations for them. Other side, it's gonna be Mayans, Franks, Italians, Chinese, Persians for Dragons or for Hallis and Bling, and Sicilians, Incas, Portuguese, Malians, and Slavs on the second pool. I have to say, this is a very good second pool if you think about that. Two very good archer saves, Incas, Portuguese. You give Portuguese to the opponent when there is Team Island, that already is somewhat questionable. Slavs, also an extremely good civ, so I feel like Hallis and Bling can be very happy about that draft. If you take a look at it, they can go Italians, Portuguese on Team Island. They would be picking those civs anyways, right? So I feel like that's actually very good. They have Mayans available. They can use Malians or Slavs as cavalry civs to accompany Mayans and Chinese, and they can have Persians and use Incas, for example, as an archer civ. So this is an excellent situation for Hallis+BlinG. I feel like they had a massively better draft compared to their opponent. With that being said, we'll jump into game number 1 over here, and we will have also, before we actually jump in there, we actually gonna show, now it is fixed. No, it's not fixed. It says doubt A and B. I got debated by my overlay stuff. It's worse now. It's a lot worse. Don't look at this. Don't look at this. It's not doubt A and doubt B. Let's just cast games and we'll return to the draft once it's actually fixed, okay? So, Dragonstar and Spring will be playing in teal and purple, even though the rules actually say that you have to play in blue and green and red and yellow. So what we're gonna do is use Capture H for this one, and we're gonna have these colors set for the players. We'll be rocking with these. Dragonstar will be playing red on the left side as Spanish, and in yellow we're gonna have Ethiopians for Spring. So 2 fairly decent civilizations. What is interesting is that we have Spanish being used here when there is Regicide Fortress to be played, although Burmese could go there as well. Other side, we will have Hallis playing in blue as Mayans, and we'll have Samayan K, as I said, Bling playing as Sicilians in green. He's going to be using Sicilians as a cavalry civilization, which I think is somewhat better than using it as an archer civ. Archer civ, like, there is some versatility involved in Sicilians, but Sicilians are basically comparable to Slavs as a cavalry civilization. They're not as good, but they do have fully upgraded cavalier, strong farming eco, so really that's the best comparison. And the reason why I like them more as a scout civilization as compared to an archer civilization is the fact that spearmen deal less damage to your scouts because you suffer from less bonus damage is an excellent and massive advantage, I would say, in Feudal Age. So with that, we're gonna have Bling coming in here with some deer push. That's some very easy for him to push that deer. The berries aren't great, and neither is that gold mine, as we have the elephant coming in here for Hallis. Hallis had some decent performances in medium-sized tournaments. He's a very talented British player, consistently high level, but not on the level of experts, as things stand right now for him. Hallis is playing Mayans in blue over there. The berries are alright, the gold is workable, and the stone is nice as well for him. So overall, this is a nice low base for Hallis. You got Spring in yellow with what is a good gold mine and what is a technically team volleyball map here with Dragonstar. Dragonstar is an Indian player with quite a lot of deathmatch experience, whereas for a Spring, he is a long-time player, and by long time, I mean actually super long time. Fun fact, the Han Horde didn't actually pick Huns as any of their civilizations, so I'm a little disappointed because Spring and Dragonstar signed up with the name of Hun Horde, and they end up using no civilization, or well, not no civilization, but no Huns at all, so that's a bit of a disappointment. Anyways, nice move from Spring, being able to squeeze in all those Voyagers on the elephant. Sometimes that's hard because of the Voyagers bumping into each other. You can see that this lady was chilling over there for a moment, but squeezing in that many Voyagers to an elephant is actually an exceptional move in many cases. With that, we're gonna have a deer push coming in here for Dragonstar. His gold mine is absolutely horrendous over here, and he doesn't really have a safe gold mine either. His best bet might be to do some long walls here, and then secure that gold mine for himself. Or the alternative is that you can use this gold mine, but then you have to do your stables in front. So, not an ideal map for Dragonstar over here. Early walls coming in here for Hallis, as he is 4 on food only. No surprise about that. I think if he wanted to go for a Drush, first of all, we would be seeing a Barracks by now, but he would also have one more Voyager on berries, most likely. So it's gonna be either straight archers from Men-at-Arms from him. Other side, we do have a Barracks just now coming in here for BlinG. BlinG is going 20 pop scouts, and apparently he's a little low on goats. I'm just noticing he's at 4 goats only, which seems very, very low considering he pushed in all of his deer. So he might have gotten lamed a little bit, because it looks like he scouted all of his goats across his base. So let's see, there is 4 over here as well for Dragonstar. So I'm not sure if there's any goats lamed. Well, it's not in the hands of Dragonstar, that's for sure. So it's going to be 20 pop versus 20 pop fuel over here. Slightly better fuel time for BlinG, but that's not really going to be a big deal. So we're going to have straight archers here from our Mayan player. It is going to be an archer civ versus archer civ and scout civ versus scout civ matchup over here. Small walls coming up for the Dragonstar. But here's the deal. Spanish don't give you anything basically until Imperial with their scouts and knights play. They don't have an eco bonus. They don't have any special combat capabilities for their knights. So really the first time that Spanish actually starts to shine is when you need paladins and when you need to trade. Once you have a trade going, Spanish will actually show their power, especially at paladins. So Spanish is going to be an extremely good, very late game civilization here. So because of that, I feel like BlinG needs to be somewhat aggressive with the cavalry play, because you gotta finish this game before this goes into post-Imperial. So here comes the Spearman coming forward to even the battle of scouts. This might basically turn into 2 separate 1v1s over here, 1 south, 1 north. Yeah, true, that's totally true. I forgot about the no gold cost on the upgrades, but that only is... I think that's only important in Castle Age, I would say. Feudal Age, you don't go really for fletching with Spanish unless you go for towers. Other 2 upgrades, so scale barding and forging, don't cost gold, so it doesn't matter. It matters for chain barding and iron casting. In Imperial, it doesn't really matter that much because you have a strong eco. It helps, but at that time, the gold cost isn't really the biggest problem. With that, we are going to have these walls being disrupted over here by BlinG, and this is what I was talking about. The Spearmen dealing less damage to the scouts actually helps a tiny bit here for BlinG. For now, he's not really accomplishing much with this push though. So he's harassing Dragonstar, forcing him to defend some idle time over there. But at the end of the day, this doesn't accomplish much over here. The thing is that BlinG is actually playing very, very open. He's housed as well for a moment. So it seems like the team name Hallis+BlinG might actually have to come into play here. It looks like the two archer players are playing super safe. Both of them are just massing archers back at home. So it looks like both of these players are more of the passive style. So far, we got horse color for everybody, but a Spring. Double bit access in for all the players just now. And it looks like BlinG actually stops making scouts over here. A little bit of a moonwalking from the other scout over there. A spearman joined the fun. And it's going to be spearmen trading off against each other. Soon it's going to be the scouts of BlinG once again trying to push the base of Dragonstar. But Dragonstar is going to be fully walled by this time. So this is just going to be scouts cancelling each other, I believe. Maybe if you're lucky and you're BlinG, you might find some archers to kill with those scouts. Because that's the best value now for your scouts, being able to pick off archers. Because they will be obsolete once you get into Castle Age here. So you really want to make sure that you maximize the efficiency of those. It looks like BlinG is going to be doing 12 villagers on farms and already adding gold, so he isn't really intending to go for long and sustained feudal age engagements with his scouts. Takes a quite bad engagement over there, and even though he suffers from less bonus damage from the spearmen, they still deal a big punch on scouts, so he actually ends up losing his scouts over here. Now the archers arrive, and this is where BlinG could be in trouble, because he's gonna get 2v1'd. You see the ping over here, Hallis bringing in his archers from the north, and the walls are now quickly being rushed up by BlinG, but that gold mine is still exposed to archers. So that's going to be quite troublesome overall for them. Dragonstar also just now adding villagers on gold. He's actually very, very heavy on food. 16 farms, and he also has the berries, so he's gonna be a little long gold. That's going to delay his castle age. It's quite a lot of food for the scouts that he has made, I believe. And now come the archers over here. These scouts don't have any upgrades, and what you probably want to do is pick off the spearmen first. Nice splits right now. But the thing is that Hallis and BlinG will have to fight this one. So that's the thing here. Because otherwise the archers will just attack this gold mine. I'm not sure if they can, in fact I know they can't reach this gold mine over here, but still the fact that there's archers right next to your gold mine is not something that you like to see. Scaleboarding now coming in for Dragonstar, so clock is ticking for Hallis and BlinG to fight this, because when scaleboarding kicks in, those scouts will suddenly become a lot deadlier against those archers. They're still trying to go for the spearmen. There is a consistent spear production. Well, it used to be consistent spear production for Dragonstar, just to make sure those scouts from BlinG cannot do much. BlinG actually wants to be the first player to Castle Age over here. So with that, there is going to be 2 more stables being added. He's going to go for the aggro play, as I suggested. Bit of a miss micro here from Dragonstar, losing his spearman, which hurts quite badly, because now the scouts of BlinG can actually engage. No upgrades on them just yet. Bloodlines is just now in for Dragonstar though, and that's an awful fight for Hallis and BlinG. They waited, and they waited too long, because now those scouts have bloodlines and +1 defense. Some of them are fairly weak, so they might not be able to kill this entire army, but still that wasn't ideal for Hallis and BlinG. That being said, Castle Age is coming in for Hallis most likely faster than it is for Dragonstar, and there's gonna be triple stable knights most likely from BlinG as well. So I think I like that. As I said, they don't have pod in, so you want to be playing aggressive, especially Castle Age. This is the same way you would play a Slavs versus Spanish matchup. Go aggressive in Castle Age, because what you want to accomplish is overrun your opponent with knights before he gets to pod-ins. That's the entire concept. Anyways, the archers now will actually start being more disruptive on the gold mine. As I said, you don't like when there is archers harassing your gold mine like that. Still, it looks like he's just gonna drag away the scouts for now, and his teammate is gonna bring in the archers. Last two Castle Age will be Dragonstar in this one. So, With that, there is gonna be 3 stables up for BlinG over here, and that's where things could get scary for Dragonstar, because he's not gonna have any knights in the foreseeable future. Castle is gonna be faster for Spring over here compared to Hallis, which means that he's gonna have crossbows faster, but I'm not sure if that's gonna matter, because Spring isn't reacting. He does have the heal, but by the time he reacted, he lost like 4 archers, and that's an excellent cleanup for Hallis, especially considering that he's gonna get beaten to Castle Age. So basically he's able to fight archer versus archer right now, and that's extremely important that he took this fight before the crossbow upgrade would have kicked in. And with that, that is a cleanup. Fast Thumbering coming in here for Spring. So fast Thumbering that he actually takes that before crossbowman upgrade. That's gonna be a pretty deadly force though, but there's gonna be triple range archers for Hallis, so it's gonna be quality against quantity over here. But the knights are already moving forward. They do have only +1 defense, +2 is just now coming in. Fast Thumbering as well for Hallis. No university just yet. Here it comes. And we're gonna have no university right now for Spring. So, with that, it looks like everybody will be focusing on Spring over here. That's why. Don't tell me there's a hole here. I'm not sure about the hole here, but that eagle somehow is inside. So you gotta wonder if there's a hole somewhere that Hallis might have spotted, and apparently there is none, or at least it has been re-walled already. But they will just target this part of the wall. The crossbows will be heading here. 17 crossbows against 26. Both of these guys will have Thumbering, but obviously Ethiopian faster firing crossbows helps over here. But there is gonna be ballistics for Hallis and no ballistics for Spring, and that's gonna hurt quite badly. Knights with +2 defense, they will just be sort of serving the purpose of being a meat shield in the process. 3 TCs up for Dragonstar in this one, 2 TCs for BlinG, and we are gonna have only 1 TC for Hallis, but he's gonna have ballistics in a moment. Does have +1 defense on his archers, +2 is in though for Spring, so Spring's archers are still pretty devastating against that. Spring actually doesn't really have a lot of eco upgrades. He's only a double bit axe, no horse color whatsoever. Whereas Hallis is already on Boso and Heavy Plow, or just Horse Color, but still, Boso Horse Color here is much better. Over there, Hallis now has ballistics, so he's lacking the rate of fire compared to Ethiopians, and he's lacking the extra armor, but he does have ballistics as an advantage, which could be nice, and he also has a lot of knights in front of his army. It's a +2 defense and +1 attack. For Dragonstar Knights, no actual attack upgrades for BlinG here, and he takes a fight that's partially up hills. Nice micro over there from Hallis, still tries to fire down hills over here. And at the end of the day, this turns out to be an even fight. Keep in mind that, as I said, mid-game, the eco of Sicilians is much better than the eco of Spanish. And at the end of the day, it seems like the crossbow numbers weren't enough for Spring. And look at that train of crossbows coming in. Mayan cheap crossbows, holy moly. That triple range archer production was great, and we are talking about 2 crossbows for Spring, 27 for Hallis. This is by seeding, by the way, the closest matchup. So I think Hallis and BlinG are seed 17, and Spring and Dragonstar are seed 16. So this is the closest matchup of the first round. We're gonna have 2 more ranges coming in here for Spring for a grand total of 5, but I wonder if he can actually produce archers from 5 ranges. If he can, he's gonna be able to hold this one for now, but I feel like the aggressive play I was talking about with Sicilians is showing right now. So with that, we're gonna have one of the ranges being contested here by the Knights, and they do take down those ranges really fast. Here comes some more Knights. Right now it's 13 Knights against 17, 33 crossbows against merely 8. So with that, that is going to be one range going down. Not really the end of the world right now. It's still 3 TCs for Dragonstar. Villager count wise, BlinG has a 10 villagers lead. Also, Spring is behind compared to Hallis by a couple of villagers, so that adds up for a total of 13 villagers difference. Here comes a mangonel from Spring, but BlinG could just dive in and pick that off very easily, in fact. Let's see if that actually is going to happen. Over here, more Knights flooding in through that hole for Bling, and I feel like we're waiting for one big engagement that's going to decide who's gonna win this game. Because it seems like both sides are just massing army right now inside the base of Spring, and then we're going to see if that Mangonel can have a nice connection. It seems like now we will actually switch focus, and Spring is gonna be a little slow catching up over here, because he's got a slow-moving Mangonel, he won't be able to use that. And at the end of the day, if you send all your 40 crossbows to the base of Dragonstar, you are gonna have massive crossbow numbers advantage, and the Mangonel is very, very slow catching up. So that's the idea here, that you got 40 crossbows heading there. Even if the crossbows from Spring catch up with them in time, it's gonna be 17 crossbows against 42, and the Mangonel will be too slow catching up. So that Mangonel is the key. You couldn't really push Spring's base anymore because of the danger of that Mangonel, but what you can do is push now the base of Dragonstar, and oh boy, both players have their crossbows exposed in the middle of nowhere, and I feel like this is a better fight for Dragonstar. And Spring over here, Hill is being taken by Spring over here. There is +1/+2 on those green knights, and the +1/+2 as well on those red knights. At the end of the day, the Mangonel goes down. Nice move from a Bling over here, picking off the knights and the Mangonels, and it turns out to be an even trade. Right now, however, Hallis' team is taking over massively in terms of villager count, especially Hallis is the one booming. And look at Bling. Bling is back, ladies and gentlemen. He is going into Imperial, and he's playing clean. He's not playing perfect, but he's playing very, very clean. I just want to give a quick shout out to that. Look at that. 11 minutes villager idle time. The 6 minutes TC idle time isn't great, but for free TCs, that's not the end of the world in a 30 minutes long game. And considering that Blink has only been back for like 2 months or so, this is absolutely outstanding. And he's using a brand new civilization. And I think that Hallis is idling his TCs as well, so he can click up to Imperial. He's gonna be close to dropping a castle with that stone count. And that could potentially be an aggressive castle if they can secure control with their double Imperial Age. Neither Spring nor Dragonstar is capable of going up to Imperial. In fact, they're extremely far away. They're not even close. That being said, Bling is still 1.5 minutes away from Imp, and his teammate is just about to click up, which means that there is still time for Dragonstar and Spring to go for one big decisive push, and this could be it. Those crossbows were dangerously mispositioned, and suddenly 30 crossbows go down the drain like nothing. And now you have Bling with that exposed gold mine. That's the first time we're actually going to really talk about that exposed gold mine, because those crossbows could be extremely devastating against that. There's iron casting in for Bling. Bling doesn't have... he actually has another gold mine over here, so he can evacuate this one for now. He's just waiting patiently. He wants to get Cavalier. So now the knights are in. You're gonna have to idle your eco a tiny bit. 10 seconds to Imperial, but then you still have to get Cavalier. If you get Cavalier and +4 defense, you will wreck this one. But this is extremely important for the game. It's a matter of how much Bling loses, because he's going to lose some. The thing is, however, that he wants to avoid losing like 30 villagers. If he loses 10, so be it, because he's gonna have Cavalier soon. Cavalier and plate boarding in 50 seconds. Even with plate boarding, you can actually take this. And now this actually turns out to be a trap. It turns out to be an excellent trap. And honestly, Bling lost 3 villagers in this game. That was an outstanding defense from him as well here. Really, I don't even know if he actually lost any villagers to this specific push, or were those villagers killed earlier, but now this is a massive advantage, because those Cavalier will be raining down death on those knights, and there is also soon to be Arbalests from Hallis. He's already assembling a new horde of Arbalests here on the north, and we'll probably start rolling to the second forward castle very, very soon. And with that, right now, it doesn't seem like Hallis is actually carrying Bling. The team name is Hallis carries Bling, but reality is that it might be a completely even team in terms of quality. There is +2 defense now for Hallis. He's up to Imperial in a moment, and the idea is that you want to take down those crossbows that have the hill. It's not ideal for Hallis that he is actually not able to take his upgrades before this fight, but I feel like they feel that this is a decisive engagement over here, and all those crossbows for Spring will go down. And even if just Bracer kicks in, the firepower of those crossbows will increase dramatically, and we're talking about a 75 to 11 military count. It's not Hallis carrying BlinG here, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very, very good team chemistry between the two British players. And with that, they strike quickly for game number 1 here. Very, very nicely executed. And really, I knew that Hallis is a consistent and solid player. But BlinG actually surprised me that he's playing this well. Because really, he has been back to H1 for 2 months or so. And this is a brand new civilization as well. And he played on a top 100 level. In fact, maybe even top 50 level. Very, very well in this one. So let's take a look if the draft is fixed. And it is fixed. So I'm happy to report that the drafts have been fixed. Dragonstar and Spring will have 2 of my favorite maps for this tournament as their home maps. Team Island and Regicide Fortress remaining for their home maps. We're going to either of those. I would think that now that Spanish is gone for Dragonstar and Spring, they will use Burmese on Regicide Fortress, maybe Burmese Koreans even, although it's more likely we're going to see something like Burmese Kumans. So that seems like a reasonable composition. Team Islands would be Saracens, Koreans most likely, and then they have Coastal Mountain with Mongols and potentially Bulgarians, and then Cape of Storms. Cape of Storms could also be Mongols. Both of, like, Mongols is great for Cape of Storms and Coastal Mountain as well. So with that, we're actually gonna jump into the next game. Indeed, it is very interesting that they give Portuguese to the opponent, where their own home map is Team Islands. I feel like it's one thing that Spring and Dragonstar has been outplayed in this game, but I feel like the draft was way better for Hallis+BlinG. Like, the way that the civilizations line up for them, this could be a hidden free pick, and it would still be alright for Hallis+BlinG. So, Italians, Portuguese, dream scenario for Team Islands. This map is probably gonna be Slavs and Chinese. So if we go to Regicide Fortress, Coastal Mountain can be Persians and maybe Malians or so. And then you can leave Franks and Incas for Cape of Storms. So this is actually a very, very good composition over here. We'll jump into game number 2. So we'll go to Team Islands over here. In the second game, Hallis carries BlinG, or at least that's what their team name suggests. BlinG will be playing green Italians, and blue will be Portuguese for Hallis. No surprise about that one. I think the biggest surprise is how good the civilizations are for Hallis+BlinG here on this map. It's somewhat unthinkable that Portuguese was given to the opponent. Obviously, they're not as strong in 2v2 as they're in 1v1, but I mean, on Team Islands, Italians and Portuguese is still an extremely good composition. Also, there is one very underrated thing to talk about, and that is the shared vision in Dark Age. This is extremely important, because this helps finding potential landings much, much easier. So it is extremely helpful that you see what your teammate is also up to. Also helps in early coordination as well. Other side, Burgundians and Saracens, so it seems like we're gonna have a guaranteed landing over here. It's actually predictable, so I would expect Hallis+BlinG to just wall themselves up against that, because you cannot predict Burgundians here, and or not Burgundians, but the landing from Burgundians. And the thing is that at the end of the day, I feel like the landing is a possibility always on Team Islands. But to me, it kind of feels like, okay, we can land with whatever civilization we have and just use our worst possible civ, or the civ that we don't want to use anywhere else for landing. That's also an approach as well for Team Islands. If you feel like, hey, we might get a civ that we really don't like on any map, might just go for landing with that. Round of 16s are tomorrow. Yes, round of 16s for the qualifiers will be tomorrow and Sunday. The exact matchup will be posted after today. But a lot of people have been asking about the Nili and Jordan series. That's probably going to be Sunday. That's something that we know. So, some bigger names joining, like Bakti, Kaposh with his team. or Nilly Jordan. And so with that, we are gonna have, let's see, a back dock coming in here for Bling. We will have Hallis in blue with a forward dock, so it's gonna be Fire Galley play from him. And the Dragonstar is just now moving out for a dock. That's actually fairly late dock from him. Or it's not even a dock. It's not even a dock here for him. It's 6 on wood. That is because he's already going for a dock here on the front, but this is a landing from the Saracen player. Or at least he's gonna make the transport, I assume. Because normally you would be completely fine with 5 Voyagers on wood with any civilization for a hybrid map build. If you send 6 on wood, that's sort of an indication that you will need a lot of wood while you're going up to the next age, and that oftentimes is an indication of a transport ship. There is 3 on wood on the other side for Spring, which also is an indication that he is going for something completely different than a water play. In fact, he isn't making a dock. Do you know what's gonna happen? Spring will be the one that gets transported by Saracen transport. The reason why this is gonna happen is because Saracen transports are sturdier, but they also carry 10 units. So you can transport a lot more stuff around, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe even a delayed transport ship. So something like Spring just going for scouts back at home and then transporting 6-7 scouts. That would be an ambitious move because you would be losing water, but it is going to be some sort of landing play here from Dragonstar and Spring. Loom coming in just now, and after Loom, you are gonna make that transport. That's 100% sure. The question is, what is Spring up to? Because his build is very reminiscent of just a clean scouts build. He's not making a dock, so if he's landing, he's gonna be transported through by his teammate. That's for sure. So with that, we are gonna have the fuel age coming in here for a Dragonstar. Here's the transport ship. 1 Voyager is being pulled. This will probably be 2 Voyagers. You just finish the shorefish before transporting them alongside a scout. And 2 Voyagers as well for Spring, so seems like it's a double landing scenario. The problem with that is that if you don't actually make ships, your opponent will just outboom you with fish, right? So they roll up and they outboom you with fish. Real question is, and indeed, Bling is already rolling himself up, so he's gonna be the one that does the landing defense, so to say. That's why he's going for back dock. If you go for a back dock like this in Team Islands, oftentimes you're the one just doing the landing defense. So you see the barracks is already coming out. And here comes the transport picking up everybody. And I feel like if you just transport 6 units, it's not really worth it to have the Saracens over here. So I'm not sure if this was the reason why they picked Saracens. So it was they planned the whole time to have 6 units transported. Or they were just like, hey, we have Saracens, might as well do this and transport 6 units through. So 2 Voyagers on both places, the double landing play here. We're gonna have barracks coming in, so I would think that they want to turn this completely into a land map. We'll have 1 player playing Scout, that's gonna be Spring with Burgundians, and we'll have 1 player playing Archers, which means it could be troublesome to defend for Hallis and Bling. However, you have to consider that the thing is that they'll have an untouched fishing eco, right? Or at least moderately untouched. There might be some ships from Dragonstar trying to harass them, but reality is that here comes the Scout to pick off the first Voyager over here. And the first Voyager is actually going to go down. I'm somewhat surprised that Hallis and Bling got this surprised by this landing, because it was fairly obvious that there is going to be at least a landing happening. And usually you transport 2 scouts through just to make sure that you can actually start killing Voyagers over here. We'll have Bling being fully walled over here. If you take a look at the ecos, Hallis' team has a massive advantage, and there's a transport as well for Bling. So Bling actually wants to do a counter landing. He's already making scouts, and the thing is that there is a barracks back at home for Dragonstar to make spearmen, and there's a barracks back at home for Spring, so that's not going to do much. And this is getting a little bit scary for Hallis over here. He's off from gold. There is no combat ships coming in here from Dragonstar though, so it's a steady 7 Voyagers lead. And with that, that's going to propel them for an easier defense. That's going to propel them potentially for a faster castle age, and that helps immensely, I would say. So with that, oh, the hole, that's a disaster. That's an absolute disaster for Bling over here. Not the end of the world, but he needs to plug that hole in very, very fast. Otherwise, he's gonna be in trouble. Loses one villager, loses a piggy here. 2 more archers out. And look at this. Spring actually is just trying to get one villager in here just to make sure that villager is not actually getting killed. House wall coming in now for Bling. He's going to fix that. And now he's going to trap that villager in there. Still, I think Spring actually wants... Oh! The delete trick, that was so cool. There was actually a tile hole there. And he was blocking that hole from being plugged in by building his own palisade over there. I didn't see there was a hole there, but apparently that palisade served the purpose of blocking Bling from being able to get that palisade over there. Now there is actually a landing coming in as well from Bling, so he's actually going to take some revenge on his opponent and pick off a couple of vultures over here as well. And I feel like Bling's defense is still looking pretty decent over here. Now a defensive tower is up, and these scouts are going to cause quite a lot of chaos. You see Spring is not reacting just yet. Still 7 villagers lead on the other side, and there is some towers, sure. But at the end of the day, Hallis and BlinG aren't really losing eco. So it is going to be more and more villagers being picked off from Spring. He's down to 28 eco. There is going to be another spearman coming out. But look at the eco difference. It's 70 to 60. Massive, massive eco discrepancy between the two teams already. This is why I don't really do double landings, because that leaves the opponent's fishing eco completely untouched. And you see, it's a clear water boom. And now Hallis actually finds the fishing ships of the opponent, so he's gonna be able to take them down or just pass, because no one cares about fishing ships anyways. So it's still not perfect for Hallis and BlinG, but I feel like, especially if they are fully evolved, they don't really have to be afraid of a lot of things here. They can play safe, just make their archers and scouts, so to say. There is another landing coming in here with more scouts, and there's gonna be quite a lot of scouts for BlinG. So if he gets even +1 attack here, I'm not sure if he has a blacksmith or not, and the answer is no, then he's gonna be able to even destroy spearmen. There's a lot of spearmen now defending for Spring, but you could still try to hit the base of Dragonstar, who quick-walled around most of his gold. But the wood line is still possible to be raided. So now the archers might actually try to harass the fishing ships out there for a moment, but it's a 16 villagers lead now for Hallis and BlinG, and you see that Hallis actually, or that's BlinG, starts to pile up the food that he needs for Castle Age, might even sell his stone and go up to Castle. If you go up to Castle Age here first, you can actually go for a couple of nights and clean up this entire landing. With that being said, the scouts did dive in and got utterly destroyed by the spearmen. Wasn't really ideal. Eco upgrade wise, it's fairly underwhelming for everybody. We don't have our Burgundian player going for basically any upgrades other than double bit axe. So, as I said, Burgundians here kind of feel like they're just being used as a sieve that you don't want to use anywhere else. Castle Age coming in here fast for Dragonstar, though. That's the power of Saracens here with the use of the market. On the other side, BlinG is going to go into Castle as well. Spring has quite a lot of scouts here, so BlinG has to be careful, because if those scouts break into his base, suddenly disaster could strike. And there was a hole the whole time. Let's see if BlinG notices this. Let's see if BlinG notices this. He's trying to... he thinks this is a hole, but that's not a hole. But the villagers actually walk out here, and oh my goodness, BlinG, that's a disaster. He thinks that's the hole, but no, the hole is over there. And that's the second hole. If this game is lost for them, it's gonna be lost on the holes. Because they had a massive eco advantage, but they can throw away the game with such holes. Because that's exactly the thing that you should never allow to happen. He's on the way to Castle Age, so he's not gonna lose everything, because he's gonna be able to make a couple of knights. Speaking of holes, now there's a new hole being made by the Archers of Dragonstar, and BlinG is in trouble here. BlinG is in trouble, and he's gonna be fine with knights. The problem is that, still, look at this. Saracen archers, they were nerfed, but they're still fairly formidable in decent numbers against buildings. Eco is still massively in the favor of Hallis' team, and now the archers are coming in. I feel like if Hallis brings in the archers here, he's gonna be fine. Siege Workshop coming in for Dragonstar, those will soon be crossbows though, and the thing is that Hallis is nowhere close to Castle Age. When those are crossbows, how do you stop them? If this was an archer versus archer fight, it would be fine, but when they actually become crossbows, they can start taking this TC down. You don't really have the time to wait here. So you see, Castle Age is in and they will start melting that TC. They're not as good against it as they used to be, but it's not like you can hold out forever against that, and it's still 2 minutes away from Castle Age is Hallis, and we only have one stable for BlinG with dubious upgrades. It looks like this double landing strategy is actually working out because BlinG is in trouble. He's 39 Voyagers, which is comparable to Dragonstar and Spring, despite BlinG having an awful lot of fishing eco working for him. TC slowly being taken down. He's gonna have to repair that one. But since no one is garrisoned inside, a crossbow can just dive in and pick that Voyager off. That TC isn't staying up. I feel like right now they're just waiting for Hallis to bring in his crossbows, but there's a Mangonel push coming in on this side, and it's still a Feudal Age player getting pushed with a Mangonel. He doesn't really have a reliable gold income because he got towered away from this, and this landing is working really well for Spring and Dragonstar. And this one, and the counter landings from BlinG didn't really work out as good as he thought they would. Here come the Knights, but as I said, these Knights have 0 upgrades other than Bloodlines, so no defense upgrades means that those Saracen crossbows will melt them, and that's a fast Cavalier now for Spring as he's up to Castle Age as well. Cavalier here, 23 minutes into a landing. This is looking extremely good for Spring and Dragonstar. It was predictable to see the landing. Maybe Hallis and BlinG wasn't prepared for a full-on landing, where their opponents are just saying, okay, whatever, you can have the fish, we're just gonna stomp you on land with Saracens. And that might be the reason why I pick Saracens, because you want to get through walls easily. And now it's fire ships. Dragonstar is playing this one really well, I have to say. He was hiding these fire ships until the last moment, and now Hallis is going to lose all his fishing eco. All that eco lead is gonna be gone, and without the fish, what you're gonna be looking at is an absolutely desolated base from BlinG, and a lost gold mine that's under pressure by a Mangonel and towers, soon to be Cavaliers as well from Hallis. This is looking extremely good guard tower defense from the Britons over here, but you see that the Voyager count is actually getting closer and closer, and now it's the second Mangonel on the way. There's a Siege Workshop for Hallis, but he isn't actually getting a Mangonel out. Tries to go for a guard tower on that wood line. And there's a couple of crossbows here as well. The Cavalier only have +1/+1. But look at this, all the fishing eco is gonna be gone for Hallis. He's down to 48, which is actually the same Voyager count as Dragonstar. In fact, Dragonstar probably starts adding fishing ships now himself. And there's a fire ship that will pressure BlinG's fishing eco as well. Now the crossbows will be heading back over here to try and melt these ranges. Cavalier just camping down those Mangonels, making sure that they won't actually get picked off. Still no Mangonel on the way for Hallis. And now the crossbows will actually find this gold mine over here. Scouts just chilling, apparently don't really caring about those Voyagers. And look at this. Saracen crossbows just going in to melt buildings. Crossbows will now try to pick off the Mangonels, but that's the only TC that Hallis has. There is a Knight's counter landing though from BlinG, so he actually decides to land his Knights on the opponent's island, which could cause a lot of chaos for Dragonstar's eco, especially if it hits a wood line like this one. The gold mine for now is safe. Crossbows still melting buildings over here. The only TC that Hallis has is gonna be gone in a moment. Fire ships taking down the fishing eco of BlinG. And with that, Knights are now inside Dragonstar's eco though. He's forced to lead the mining camp to save his Voyagers. He could have deleted the Palisades, to be honest, so it was an interesting decision to see the mining camp being deleted. Those Knights do not have any Pierce Armor bonus, so the TC is going to make a quick work of them. And even there were a couple of Voyagers killed, I don't think it compensates for the fact that now Cavaliers are coming in. There is no TCs for Hallis. Hallis is playing TC less, so here going for 4 guard tower defense, but I mean, Cavaliers will just laugh at it with +2 defense and just run past and keep killing Voyagers. Hallis is down to 28 Voyagers, they tap out, and the Hun Horde, even without Huns, strikes back swiftly over here on Team Islands. Very well played by them. Super aggressive play, but they definitely caught their opponents off guard with this play. Alright, So even score right now for the two teams, and that means that we're going to the first home map of Hallis+BlinG, either Coast to Mountain or Cape of Storms is gonna be the name of the game. So they have, I think, still the better civilizations. But if we're going to Coast to Mountain, I think it's Lithuanians and the Bulgarians. On the other side, you could use probably Mongols and Koreans on Cape of Storms maybe, and leave Burmese and Cumans for Regicide Fortress. So with that, game number 3 is coming up. We're going to Cape of Storms over here. This is actually a big player favorite map, to be honest. Many players are selecting Cape of Storms as their home map. Apparently, Capture Age is a little bit dead, so we're gonna need a restart before we jump into the next game. But with that being said, Hallis+BlinG with an even score now to Spring, and Dragonstar will jump into game number 3 over here. Once again, I have to fix the colors because the players are picking wrong colors. At least the positions are alright, which is something that you have to consider as well on this map, that this map is actually color-coded, so that there's a pocket and there is a flank civilization over here. With that, we'll have the Hun Horde, Dragonstar with Koreans flank in red. The pocket is gonna be Lithuanians for Spring in yellow, so they actually want to go for the Mongols play on a Coast to Mountain. Left side, it's going to be Persians for BlinG in green and Hallis in blue for Malians. Malians pocket is an interesting one, but it allows you to go for nice hybrid map builds, so I would assume there is going to be quite a lot of fishing incorporated with this one. Same thing could be the case of Persians. The question is, who's going to be your late game archer civ? You could say, okay, I don't need a late game archer civ here because this map, it's very open, so oftentimes this is decided quite early on. But still, we have seen games going into post-Imperial on this map. From what we have seen, Japanese pocket can be super strong on this map, for example, because they can get an insane fishing eco up and then just overrun the map with knights in Castle Age. So with that, Spring is actually going for a fast dock strategy over here. That's a great idea from him. That is why Lithuanians can be so strong over here, just like we've seen in Hidden Cup with the fast dock strategies. Here in this case, it is going to be fishing ship play from Spring. And on the left side, we'll have a Persians for BlinG going for 4 on wood. So it might be an archer play, or it might just be the next villager being sent for a dock. Indeed, that's the case. And we're going to have a dock coming up as well for Hallis and BlinG. So they want to go for water both now. Prioritize the fishing eco over here for some added benefit. And indeed, to answer that question, Dvor does have elevation, and that is because these are waves. This is a storm, and we have waves in the water, and that indeed means that we have water elevation in it. A little bit of a tweak. Fun fact about this map is that this was the original way that this was scripted. However, for 2+1, I was like looking at it and say, I don't like water elevation, let's just take it out. And 2+1 had Cape of Storms, but it didn't have water elevation. But after that, I was like, it actually adds a nice little touch to this map and makes it different. And I feel like the versatility and the difference between the maps actually is extremely important, because every team can actually find a game or a map that they like to play. Indeed, that is correct. The same hill advantage and disadvantage rules apply as on land. So, for example, Tatar fire ships here are actually crazy on water if you actually want to fight that. So, with that, we're gonna have fishing ships coming in here for BlinG, and Hallis will also pop out some fishing ships in this one. Second elephant just now in for our Malian player, and that's a nice find from Dragonstar. Finds the villager of BlinG, and that is gonna be one villager dead. Now you could say, hey, there is another boar here. How did Bling not lure it in? Players actually start with 3 boars on this map, so that makes Mongols a very, very good civilization for this map as well. And you see that now Spring and Dragonstar actually team up their scouts, so they are hunting for villagers together. Now Hallis knows that there will be scouts coming for his villagers, so he actually walls that one in. And some big walls coming in here from Dragonstar, trying to wall off this part of the map. It makes some sense because it takes forever to march all the way around with an army, and you can also do some walls like this. It takes quite a lot of effort, but oftentimes making this map a little bit more closed actually makes quite a lot of sense. So with that, the first player to feudal will be apparently Hallis, or at least he wants to be the first player to feudal age, and he will be. On the other side, we also have fishing eco for both players, already 4 fishing ships out for Spring, so that's a nice little early eco for him. And we'll see if he's actually trying to play a fast castle build here, because it's very possible that he would go fast castle knights. Lithuanians also benefit from the fact that the relics on this map are always on this baobab tree terrain, so it's relatively easy to find them, as we do have another boar coming in here for Hallis. He is apparently going to play some fire galleys because he's adding villagers on gold, but before that he lures in his final boar with this. So, with that, we're gonna have 4 walls for Dragonstar. You gotta be careful with those baobab trees. I think there is a tile hole over there. The best way to check for holes here is just to send out a villager and see where it goes. And it looks like now it's a full wall for Dragonstar and Spring on the left side, and on the north it is going to be a relatively vulnerable position for Spring if he wishes to. And look at Spring, that's a super fast castle. Look at Spring, this is an excellent build for him. I'm proud of him, bringing in some absolutely, I'm going to say, unique strategies, but this is a very nice way of playing this. So, he's actually gonna be able to afford Castle Age immediately, and look at his timing. I mean, his timing is comparable to the Feudal Age timing of Hallis over here, but he's actually going to be a fast castle play from him. Galleys coming out right now for Dragonstar. Obviously he wants to play galleys because fire galley fights, Koreans are kind of bad at that because they don't have demos to help out in case they get overrun by fires. And this map, with the distance between the players on water, galleys actually make more sense as well. So I really like this composition for Spring and Dragonstar. A fast castle play here from Spring. He goes for Market Blacksmith, and he's gonna be able to go for knights, pick up relics early, and start snowballing the game. There is Bling coming in here with a tower rush, trying to get through the walls, and if they are successful doing so, they will actually start doing damage to Dragonstar. Dragonstar for now goes for the defensive tower on his gold mine, tries to re-wall these, and with that, it looks like we're gonna have galleys moving forward for a Dragonstar soon. There is no ships coming in for either Bling or Hallis. Hallis is just now making fire galleys. Over here, tower is up, and that means that these scouts will actually get through the walls, and that's where this could get scary for Spring and Dragonstar. They need to hold these walls for 2 minutes, but this is very, very tricky for Dragonstar. The problem is that even if he walls himself, his pocket is gonna be very, very exposed. Brag's just now coming in for Spring, so these scouts could actually start doing quite a lot of damage on the eco of Spring. They should just ignore Dragonstar, need to run to the pocket, who's gonna have an insane fish boom. Fire galley now against galleys, and you see the hill bonus applying over here. That galley is just getting absolutely massacred, and also galleys firing up hills as this fire galley is riding the waves. Suddenly all the ships go down from Dragonstar, and this is looking worse and worse, because now these scouts could do quite a lot of damage. There will be a need for a couple of spearmen for Spring. If he doesn't lose villagers here, he's fine, because he's gonna make 2 or 3 knights to clean this one up. Alternative is that he should make 2 or 3 spearmen so he can send the knights forward immediately, because you want those knights on the front here to prevent this one from becoming even worse. A nice quick walls, by the way, from a Spring so far. Beautiful quick walls, and he made himself a little base over here. And now the walls go down, so I did mention that a spearman could have been very, very useful. Those scouts don't have any upgrades, so that many villagers might actually decide to take this engagement. First knights now in, so Spring is just going to decide, okay, I'm gonna run back to my TC, wait until I have 2 knights, and Spring is going to end up losing 2 villagers. So he's still at 29 only, but he's in Castle Age, and those first knights will be able to tear apart this army, and the first knights will be extremely devastating against Hallis and the Bling over here. Fire Galley now moving in for Hallis, as Dragonstar is going for full Korean galleys. That's something that we should pay attention to. So it's basically a 2v1 on land right now for a Spring, and he's gonna get the knights out. I think, as I said, just make a spearman or 2, protect your gold mine with it, and then you can send your knights forward, because otherwise what Blink has to do in this situation is make sure that he is running around with those scouts, forcing Spring to chase those scouts with the knights, because then you're pretty much taking away 4 or 5 knights from the opponent with way weaker units, and that buys your teammate time to go up to the next stage. So really, this is the right play here. Just force your opponent to chase you, because if he's chasing you, he's not attacking you elsewhere. So that's the core concept of this one. Over here, with that being said, there's gonna be the galleys moving forward for a Dragonstar, and he could take quite a lot of fishing ships to the bottom of the ocean. Spring's fishing eco is actually pretty outstanding in this one, and now the knights are slowly going to clean up these forces. Castle Age coming in here for everybody but Dragonstar. Dragonstar is very, very late into Castle Age over here because he's investing a lot of resources into galleys, but he will take down the opponent's fishing eco, so that's a nice little value over there for him. Fire Galley is just now coming in for Hallis, but that's not going to help either, because by the time they arrive, the fishing eco is probably going to be gone. A lot of galleys on the field for Dragonstar. It starts to become closer and closer to an overinvestment though, because that's a lot of galleys. Now it is in the hands of Spring to carry the land combat, because it is going to be 2v1 on land, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a pikeman play from Blink here, because it is very possible that it's going to be just knights on the field. It's going to be a second stable. Camos can also work out, but you need something as those knights, and that's not necessarily your own knight, since Dragonstar is only playing water. Dragonstar is not mining stone, so War Wagons is just a distant dream right now. In fact, most of the stone is on the north here, so the players will have to move out for that if they want to go for War Wagons. That's a Persian dock, so it's going to bear quite a lot of punishment, and Hallis actually corners those galleys over there, will take them down even though he's fighting up hills. Now he's going to ride the wave and fire down hills. This actually, as I said, adds a bit of a depth to the galley micro over here with this. So you can take the hill, fire down hills, and that helps a little bit to the galleys, I believe. With that, knights are now running around. Nice quick pull so far from Bling. In terms of villagers killed and lost, Bling lost 7 already. Some of them over here, some of them I think on the farms as well. And let's see what the Dragonstar is up to. He's on the way towards Castle Age, and he will go for crossbows with what is going to be +2 defense immediately for the crossbows, because those are Korean crossbows, which helps quite a bit. Indeed, it's camos from Blink trying to chase down those knights over there, but the docks are slowly being taken down. There is no War Galley upgrade anytime soon for Dragonstar, because he's still 2 minutes away from Castle Age. Now tries to breach Blink's gold mine open. So far, that's not going to happen. And the crossbows now break in, and Dragonstar is off from gold. So, yes, the British players lost their fishing eco, but that land army is convincing me a lot more. Camo crossbow right now. As thanks for the raid, Tato. I appreciate it a lot. Welcome everybody to Tupos Qualifiers. We got Spring and Dragonstar versus Hallis and BlinG. That's the same BlinG that used to be a legend in Age of Empires and also was a very high-level StarCraft player. So, with that, these crossbows will actually be able to hit Spring's eco over here. The knights apparently not finding any value for themselves. So, we're gonna have the crossbows melting through these walls. And currently it's 11 knights for Spring, but they're not really around to stop this force of crossbows. At this point, Dragonstar wants to go for his own crossbows, but he only has 4 crossbows on the field. So that's gonna be quite concerning. Luckily for Spring, there is no ballistics on those crossbows, which means they won't actually hit moving targets that well. Still, Knights will jump on top of these villagers, and they could kill a couple if they actually cared about them, but apparently they do not. So, with that, a couple of villagers still die from Spring. I really liked his fast castle play here with Lithuanians, as crossbow just now kicks in for Dragonstar, but right now they're up against a massive army advantage over here, with their walls being breached, and now there is just no safe gold income for Spring. Even without ballistics, those crossbows are taking down quite a lot of villagers. Spring is down to 36. That's the lowest count in the game. He might be able to clean this one up, but only +1 defense on those knights, +2 just now coming in. He's Lithuanians, but he wasn't able to access a single relic because he's busy not dying, and that would be a disaster if those villagers actually get cornered. At this point, it doesn't matter if you lose those crossbows if you kill 5, 6, 7, 8 villagers with them before they die. Nice move, by the way, from Spring to move in here and cut off those crossbows from the acacia trees. Because the plan would have been for Hallis to get in here to this choke point with the trees and then take a good engagement. And that didn't really happen over there. This is gonna be a cleanup. But behind this one, look at all this rampage that's being caused by the Knights of Bling right now. There is Knights over here as well. It is 98 eco compared to 87 now. And Dragonstar is just struggling to access resources in general. So his wood lines are getting raided, his gold mine was denied for quite a while. And let's see if he's actually gonna buy 100 stone for a TC here. A TC would be extremely important because that would lower the amount of crossbows that could potentially flood in here. Water is still in the hands of Dragonstar and Spring, so they have a nice low fishing eco. But the fact that they're behind by 16 eco, even though they have a huge amount of fish, is already telling a lot. And there is a couple of camos as well with +1/+1 helping out against the Knights. The Knights currently only have +2 defense, couple of crossbows helping out. By the way, these are Persian Knights, so they do more damage against archers as well. So if it's just the Knights versus the archers, that helps quite a lot as well. Crossbows will disengage for the time being, and the Korean Frey Guard Tower upgrade comes in here clutch, as it helps out with the defense. 20 villagers lead right now for Hallis' team. We have 3 TCs for Hallis on the left, only 1 TC for Bling. He is going to be continuing with double stable knights. There is going to be monasteries, so this is the point where you start picking up relics if you are Hallis, because you want to make sure that the Lithuanian player isn't going to be able to access relics over here. Ballistics now in for Hallis, and he could potentially pick off a couple of knights over here, idling some gold miners, +2 defense for the Korean player, no defense upgrades for Hallis over here. At this point, upgrades also look way better for Hallis and Bling, so both of them have horse color. No horse color for Dragonstar and Spring, even though they have a big fishing eco, but that starts to become very inefficient with those travel distances. So, with that, that's going to be a Knight once again from Bling. He isn't really able to kill any villagers now, so that's a positive for Spring and Dragonstar, but still the eco advantage is fairly considerable for Hallis and Bling over here. Quite a lot of Knights on the field, but many of them are weak, so you see the overall condition is like 60% only, but more importantly, many of those Knights are super low HP, so they're one-shot by just a couple of crossbows. So, Monastery is up, and I believe both players will actually go like crazy on relic collection. You can pick this relic up, and then you can send your monks to the north and collect those relics over here, with the crossbows being still very, very annoying at the back of Spring's base. Mangonel now coming in to help out. So this is where the tricky part begins. We'll see if Bling actually dives into the knight to snap the Mangonel. I think he intends to. He doesn't have +2 defense, so the opponent's crossbows are actually fairly good against them. Still, it is knights and crossbows trickling in here through that hole that was made on the walls a lot earlier. So, with that, Knights will now engage, and I believe Hallis wants to take this fight, but this is way worse army for the Britons. They only have +1 defense as opposed to +2. No +2 defense either on those Knights. So, with the idea... Oh, Spring tries to trap this army in here, even though you won't really trap crossbows with 2 Palisade Gate foundations, that's for sure. So, yeah, I value the effort. Houses is a better idea now. Knights will actually try to jump on those crossbows. You gotta focus down the gate now, because I feel like this is where things could get really rough for Hallis, nowhere to go, and jukes one mangonel shot. The mangonel goes for a ground attack, hits the edge of those crossbows, but at the end this is a big cleanup by Spring and Dragonstar. The mangonel went down, but the fact that they have 61 army to 30 is kind of telling the truth in here. And now those Lithuanian cavalry will start moving. There is quite a lot of spearmen on the field for a bling around here, and he's got a City Voyager through as well. But now the problem is, as I said, that there is going to be a lot of knights from Lithuanians coming in. I think soon Spring is going to start adding a monastery and start picking up relics over here for himself. And soon he also has to start making fish traps, because currently this is Spring's food eco. Fishing ships taking food from here. He actually has a dock here, so it's fine. For a moment I thought that he's going to take food from here all the way back to here. The eco lead is massively in the favor of Hallis and the Bling, but their army isn't impressing me right now. Just 9 knights with +1/+1 and 23 crossbows against 40 crossbows and 24 knights, and those knights have good upgrades. It's +1/+2. So yes, the eco is heavily in the favor of Hallis and Bling, but the army is looking very, very underwhelming currently. TC coming up on this gold mine from Bling to secure it for himself. Most of the gold is on the north, so you'll soon have to start expanding towards those. And, well, as I said, Spring is actually going to start collecting relics soon, or at least he should. This map is easy relics for Lithuanians. With that, we're gonna have the stables potentially going down really fast over here. Still +2 defense is missing, and there is Hallis with Imperial. So, if it's Imperial, it's gonna be Arbalest without Bracer. It's still Arbalest, but you gotta question if Arbalest without Bracer is going to be enough here to win the fight for you. I still believe that the biggest issue is that Bling is not going for +2 defense. I mean, he's got the resources for it. There's nothing that justifies not going for it unless forgetting about it. If he had +2 defense, this would be a much easier fight, because he's gonna have Persian knights that deal extra damage to archers. So, right now knights will be heading towards Hallis, I believe. They will loop all the way around and hit Hallis. And with that, they're just waiting for the positioning. Imperial Age is actually getting close for Dragonstar as well. 30 seconds away is Hallis. But as I said, because the Koreans here have +2 defense for free, and because the numbers are so much more in the favor of Dragonstar and Spring, I don't know if Arbalasts without Bracer will actually be enough. So, a couple of warriors getting picked off here by Bling. His eco is definitely messy, and that's finally chain barding, but you gotta wonder if that came in too late. TC here full of Voyagers will actually be something that you just dive beneath, and this is where things will fall apart, I believe, for Hallis and Bling, because now the Knights will commit to this. You gotta commit your own Knights as well. Maybe even delete that market and just jump on top of those crossbows, because that's a lot of Voyagers going down. Dragonstar's team is still massively behind in Voyagers, but those crossbows are getting cleaned up just before they upgrade it to Arbalest. It's 18 crossbows only for Hallis. That Imperial Age is worth nothing for him right now. Persian Knights are still extremely good against crossbows, but I'm not sure if the numbers are there. 43 to 63. Knights are slowly going down. There's actually quite a lot of ARPs surviving. And at the end of the day, there's a 50 Villagers lead still here for Hallis' team, with Arbalest now having +4 defense and Persian Knights taking down crossbows really fast. It looks like the reinforcement of Arbalest was actually extremely crucial. I think you focus on the Knights with your Arbs though, because you want your teammates' Knights to be able to access the opponent's Knights. And at the end of the day, this was a huge fight, and it goes basically like an undecisive engagement. Both teams lost a lot of Knights and Archers, but there is a 50 Villagers lead still for Hallis' team, and that's not something that should be overlooked. The thing, however, is that we'll have to consider that this is the moment where Hallis and Bling didn't want to get to, because suddenly their Archers will just be way worse than the opponent's Archers. Missing Bracer here is actually a crucial problem. So they don't have the traditional Archer and Cavalry Civ roles. They will have the hole here. This could be problematic for Spring. He's going for Gill Nets. Imperial Age is in for Dragonstar with merely 15 orbs. But still, those orbs will be way better than the orbs from Malians. So Malians will soon have to turn into something else. And that could be Champ Scars, actually. There's Scale Mail coming in. Now it's Cavalry Armor. I feel like Champ Scars could actually be a reasonable idea. Because what would Lithuanians do against Champion with 7 Pierce Armor and potentially Farimba camos? Wait, no, that can't work because that's both Malians. But yeah, Persian Cavalry plus Champ Scar could actually work out quite nicely. And now Dragonstar has the upgrades, but no Arbalest just yet. So he's waiting for Arb right now. I would like to point out the minor fact that we don't have Boso for either of our players in red and yellow colors. Farming is not really a big deal because they're still doing fishing. By the way, that's crazy fishing eco. The reason why they're still in this game is because of their fishing eco as they clean up the Arbs on the right side. So, Castle is up. For now, harassing that gold mine further and further, and it looks like Hallis will continue with the Arbs of Malians. They're only missing Bracer, so it's not the end of the world. They're actually fairly reasonable, but it's not going to be sustainable. One thing that's going to be sustainable, though, is raids, and Dragonstar's team is going to have a hard time replenishing army, although you gotta wonder when those relics start kicking in for Spring. Spring is just bringing relic number 1 to his monastery. The rest of them have been picked up by the others, though, so nice move from Hallis and BlinG. Picking up the relics. BlinG has 2, Hallis has 1. And it is going to be for Imbalite Cap for raiding. You will have to expand your base to the north, and you see a TC is coming up here for Hallis. It's a crazy fishing eco, by the way, for Spring. On this screen, Spring has 38 fishing ships. 38 fishing ships for Spring. That's basically 1/3 of his eco in the form of fish. And Imperial Age now coming in here for BlinG. That's something that they really need, because once they get to Persian Cavalier, they will just melt the Arbalest. I think that one of the players from Dragonstar's team actually has to go for Halberdier in this one, because they will need something as Persian Cavalier that's not Archer, because Archers don't play stop Persian Cavalier. And now Light Cav coming in here. Dubious upgrades on them. They're missing Farimba, to be precise. So they're not perfect for raiding, but they actually are capable of doing such. Remember that gold is a problem as well, as we have some knights coming in here for raid. Still, Spring and Dragonstar call it. I believe the concept of calling this is probably this part of the base for Dragonstar going down. They look at the score, and they probably know that they just don't have eco. I think this is probably the final in the coffin. Because the way that this map looks like is that there's a lot of gold on it. But all of it is on the north, basically, for late game. So if you don't actually have control over the north, you will run out of gold. And you see that Dragonstar is free on gold, Spring has nothing, and they probably see, hey, our opponent already has TCs over here with light calves, and we don't really have the chance. If they move here to clean this up, they will lose this side. So Hallis' team taking over on their own home map. As we go back to the lobby, we have a very, very good series for us over here. So seedings were pretty correct, I would say. The two teams relatively even to each other. And we're actually going to go for the other home map of the Hun Horde. Once again, an unfitting home map for a team that's called Hun Horde. We are gonna have Regicide Fortress over there. It's a version of Regicide Fortress without towers, which actually promotes some more early aggression, but still Cuman's Burmese seems like the safe picks over here for this one, and Bulgarians, Mongols will be coast to mountain over here. Who is BlinG? BlinG is Samayan K, that's his civilian name as far as I know, an AoE legend that turned into a professional StarCraft player and then came back to Age of Empires 2 months ago. And apparently the overlay is wrong as well. Overlay people, please fix that. The overlay is wrong, the score is wrong, so we're just gonna jump into the next game over there. We need that overlay fixed, but we'll have that done. Apologies for that. With that, we'll jump into the next game instead of looking at the lobby. And Capture Age froze for a moment, but don't worry about that. It will actually be okay. It just needs a little bit of convincing. Indeed, it's back. Players not really selecting the colors that they are supposed to be playing, but Capture Age makes wonders happen. So we'll actually be able to set the colors of the players. Over here, Dragonstar was red and Spring was yellow the entire series. So with that, welcome to Regicide Fortress. This is, as I said, a no towers version of the map, which makes it a lot more reasonable for early aggression with potentially conquistadors or a run-by. And indeed, here is Burmese. For Dragonstar, early aggression with a run-by combined with a strong Kuman Boom is the name of the game over here. I would like to point out indeed that Capture just clipping the name of Dragonstar's team with Dragonstar T. It would be cool if Hallis' team would be clipped like that, because it would be fitting if it would be Hallis' T for the Britain team. So one thing that you're noticing here for Dragonstar is that he used his scout to lure in the boar. You can see because the scout is damaged. You can do this on Regicide Fortress because you have a castle you can garrison your scout into. You don't save a lot of time, but every little bit matters. And what this results in is scout luring in the boar and eventually saving a couple of seconds of voyager time. So it should be a very fast fuel here from Spring to a 2TC boom. It might be even a fast castle where you start building your second TC while you're going up to Castle Age. I'm not sure which is actually better here for Regicide Fortress. Kumans have been a Regicide Fortress for a long time now, but the meta is still not really figured out because Regicide Fortress in general is not really frequently played in tournaments nowadays. So Hallis is going to be playing Slavs in blue. This is a pool 2 civilization, and Chinese, no surprise about that by Bling. You pick Chinese because you can start making Chukonus immediately, basically. And you pick Slavs because on closed maps the Slavic hub and siege push can be really devastating. So the thing is that if Hallis times a good hub and siege push well, that's gonna be tough for Spring and Dragonstar to fight against. So at the end of the day, I think I like Hallis' civs a little bit more, but you also have to consider that in general, I think their draft was way better. So Slavs being a pool 2 civ, I feel like is sort of, not necessarily a mistake, but at least surprising at minimum. Because, well, at the end of the day, the players will have two very good civs for this map. Anyways, we're gonna have a very fast feudal coming in here for Spring as expected. His king is just chilling over here outside in his majestic cape. This is an interesting thing to talk about with no towers for Regicide. Oftentimes, you don't like garrisoning your king inside your castle because if you accidentally ungarrison it, it will go to the gather point of the castle. That applies to civilizations that are using the castle for unique unit production like Arambai or Chukonu. So don't like garrisoning your king inside your castle in case you accidentally ungarrison. However, in the majority of the cases in Regicide Fortress, what players did was garrison the king inside a tower. But there is no towers here, so you either garrison it into a castle or he's just chilling there in the middle of your base. So, a fast blacksmith coming in here for Spring, and you see that, as I said, this is basically a fast castle here from him. He's not gonna go +2 Voyagers, probably gonna be +3, +4, but he's already constructing the second TC, but thinking about going up to the next stage. This is a nice build overall. With the other side, we're gonna have a fast castle over here as well from Hallis. One of the reasons why we decided by Regicide Fortress instead of Arena for this tournament is because Regicide Fortress usually escalates a little faster because you do have your Voyagers. You start with more, and you also have to consider that in general, the game just escalates faster with the castle already being built. So you can start with a run-by immediately, for example, but you also start with bigger eco. So this is a closed map, but it escalates a lot faster than Arena does. which I think is beneficial. So we don't need to spend that much time players just booming. As we have Castle Age on the way for Spring, this is a very nice build overall. You see that he's gonna have the second TC up by the time he clicks up, and that means that he's gonna be able to start adding villagers while he's going up, giving him a nice little edge. On the other side, we're gonna have a fast castle from Hallis as well. It's a 23 villagers FC. We got 26 from our Chinese player, and 26 as well from Dragonstar, who is gonna go up to castle as the last player. So, with that, it should be a run-by. The question is, what do you do against a run-by over here? A run-by will definitely get through your walls, and without towers, it is going to be much harder to protect your base. The entire concept behind removing towers was that if there were towers here, you wouldn't really be able to break into the opponent's base that easily. The castle still is here, but you see that there's a lot of areas where you can potentially push your opponent, especially with the mobile unit like a run-by. You break in here, you can potentially deny stone, you can potentially deny this wood line, so there's a lot of places where aggression could actually be a thing. A Loom coming in now for Hallis, so he's expecting potential push, or he wants to move outside for an additional TC. He's gonna place 2 TCs on the inside. We'll have a second TC from BlinG with... oh yeah, that TC isn't really great, to be honest. In fact, I really dislike that town center. Hard to say, because indeed, BlinG doesn't really have great TC spots, but he could have gone for TC over here on that wood line instead. I feel like this TC could be so exposed to an aggression on the outside. That being said, Castle Age is almost in for a Dragonstar with Burmese. In fact, look at those resources. Is this a fast imp? That would be a genius play from Dragonstar, actually, now that I think about that. Think about it this way, he's got a castle. He can actually pick up to Imperial immediately. Holy smokes, this build. I love it from Dragonstar. And the reason why Imp is more important is because now he can actually go for a run-by. And if he goes for a run-by, he's gonna have trap support. And that's a massive difference. That he's gonna have trap support for his run-by. So he will actually have siege, or it can be potentially double monastery monks and traps. So it's going to be a super aggro play over here. And the idea is that he's gonna go very aggressive. And behind this one, Spring is gonna have the ability to boom. The tricky thing is that Spring doesn't really have a good answer to Halberd and Siege. Maybe Kipchak could be an answer to that, but he can just go straight cavalry. Because Hallis is just gonna go Hab and Siege. That being said, it looks like both players are actually going for heavy boom. There will be some Chukonus for BlinG, and that is a life-saving thing right now. Triple monastery even. I'm not going to say that the eco for Dragonstar is something that impresses me. In fact, let's just say that this one lonely farmer is not necessarily sufficient to sustain a villager production. So this is a very YOLO-esque play. Triple monastery monks alongside a run-by. But why? The problem is, does he know that he's up against BlinG? He does. He should know that there will be Chukonus, and monks aren't good against Chukonus. Unless you have a Mangonels supporting, but in that case, I don't see a siege workshop, so... What even is this? There is an alternative that I haven't thought about, and that could possibly be a sling. Because you can actually sling when you're Imperial, so we'll see if that's the plan for Dragonstar, but no, he actually is willing it. He is willing it, block printing and illumination coming in immediately, he's got Sanctity, and look at this, a full clown gameplay over here. So, it is going to be Traps and Monks, I believe. This is a very arena-esque playstyle. There is a monk out there, or a scout out there, but this is why you have one run-by and 2 spearmen, because you want to make sure that you can kill that scout easily. And now Vululu coming in, scout is actually gonna get deleted before getting converted, and I think this is the time when BlinG realizes, oh shoot, I'm in trouble. He's got quite a lot of Chukonus, but indeed, they are getting heavily outranged by monks. So monks will just keep converting them. You need a consistent production of monks, as The first trap is now rolling out already, but you have to consider something else as well. Look at this, he's converting villagers inside the opponent's base. This is full clown gameplay, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is that you just used up your conversion power on villagers and now you don't have anything for Chukanus. I don't think he was expecting that many Chukanus defending, to be honest. So, it's 15, and this is the problem that you're facing here, that the Chukanus will actually be fairly cheap and fairly easy to make, so you can mess them very easily. One of the reasons why this actually crossed the mind of Dragonstar, by the way, is because there is no defensive towers. Against defensive towers, you couldn't pull this one off, really, because it would take forever to take down defensive towers and then get through walls and then start trapping down buildings. So with that, I feel like Bling is gonna have no trouble defending against this one. So it's gonna be Scorpions. Chukanus are fairly fragile, so 2 or 3 Scorpions can definitely pack a punch, but I feel like the only way Dragonstar wins is if he's actually able to trap that castle down really fast. I like the fast imp idea, I just don't like the Monk's play. That's my biggest problem. Imperial Age coming in here for Spring, though. Do not underestimate this. And do you know what could happen in that case? Spring could sling Dragonstar into onagers and traps. And that could be extremely devastating. There is the barracks being built by Hallis as he wants to click into Imperial himself. But Hub and Siege won't really be efficient against this one, and you blast through the walls, or at least you attempt to do so. You could target the TCs, because taking down 3 TCs, or even just 2 of them, could be very, very helpful, really fast. So, what is Spring up to? He's making Kipchak. So, even just a couple of Kipchak will help out dealing with the Chukanus. Trebs still desperately trying to get through the walls, but Trebs are surprisingly bad against walls over here. So, with that, the first layer goes down. And we're gonna have Loom just now coming in here for Bling. Bling's got 25 Chukanus, but he's up against 4 or 5 Scorpions. I think it would have been more efficient to just send in 2 Petards, honestly. Because it takes forever to get through these walls with those traps, man. Look at this. He's still shelling walls, and Bling is like, okay, bring it on, bro. I'm ready. Come on, it's not that hard to get through that wall. But, I mean, it takes forever to take down those walls, and those are not special walls by any means. So those are just super standard stone walls, but traps are just so bad at killing walls. By the way, Bling could actually go for the Great Wall attack if he wanted to. He's Chinese and he's got stone walls and a castle. Imperial Age coming in right now for Bling and Hallis as well, but you already have Spring coming in here with Kipchaks. This is gonna be scary for Bling now, because now the walls are open. Now there is 6 Scorpions pushing here with Kipchak support. And 3 traps are out as well. And if those 2 TCs go down, suddenly the way to that castle is open. And remember, this is Regicide Fortress. You don't even have to destroy the opponent's base. If that king pops out of that castle and the Kipchak snipe it, that's also enough. So, let's see if we're gonna have that. We will have traps taking down the next TC. The second 2 TCs will be down, so Bling will be without town centers, or at least without the town centers inside his starting base. This one will stay up. Halberdier and Siege being assembled though. But here's the deal. If you have like good amount of Kipchak, let's say 30-40, you can stop early Halberdier and Siege very, very easily, especially because the Siege component is missing. It wants to be a Hab and Onager play for now. But the Scorpions will melt these early Halberdiers, and now it looks like we're gonna have a big fight happening. Bling trying to repair the castles, and now the monks come in to try and get some conversion on the Chukanus. Scorpion's not really shooting at the Chukanus though. That's a disaster for Dragonstar. He's shooting at the house with the Scorpions, and now it is the Halberdiers coming from the back, trying to snipe down the trap. The trap is still alive, and the Scorpions are still there. Chukanu is nicely spread out. PCs are all down, and the thing is that the Scorpions are still alive, and the Chukanus will slowly die. This could work. This play could actually work here, but now the Scorpions are being focused down, and it looks like Spring is just going to realize it's a little too late. So all these Scorpions are now down, and I think those Kipchak numbers aren't good enough although they're improved age upgrades, so they have chemistry and they have +4 defense more importantly, whereas there is no defense upgrades basically on those Chukanus. Onager is now coming in for Hallis over here. Needless to say, if they hold off against this assault, they have pretty much gotten the game. It's 39 Voyagers for Dragonstar. So this push has to finish Bling. But if he takes down the castle, that could be the way. Apparently some miss micro over here for Dragonstar, because that trap is dangerously exposed. Kipchak now running around trying to intercept reinforcements. And they destroyed the MTC? Did they? Well, it's very possible. In that case, that was a mistake from Bling imping with a TC that wasn't this one. It was somewhat predictable that the imp TC is going to be under fire. You're going to open this up over here, apparently, if you're Hallis with the Onagers. Now Halberdiers slowly overrunning the Kipchak, and this trap push is going nowhere. I like the idea, but I feel like it would have worked against Hallis. It would have worked against him, but it didn't work against Bling, because Bling was Chinese and he can make Chukanus. Like, what would have Hallis done against this one? Make Boyar? That doesn't work, right? So it's really... It was a good strategy against the wrong player. Now it seems like they actually want to transition this to the other side, I believe. And I would think that the idea is to try and convert a couple of those Onagers, and you still gotta be really careful with your Onagers being converted, as that is... Holy moly. Half of the Onagers converted. Look at all of this. It's basically... Every Onager got converted here. Every single Onager got converted. It's some ultimate clown fiesta. The problem is that, I mean, Dragonstar is still not necessarily in a great position. He's slowly catching up now in villager count, like very, very slowly. So, at least, this means that they can drag this game out a little longer, but it is still far from ideal, very, very far from actually being ideal in this one for them. So if you take a look at the overall villager count, they're behind by 40. Not the end of the world though, because they did cause quite a lot of chaos in Bling's eco. You see that Bling lost a lot of TCs, his eco is very messy, he lost a lot of farming space. So, really, at the end of the day, Bling lost quite a lot, not in terms of villager count, but overall position in the map. So now it is Dragonstar trying to boom himself up over here. He's sitting on one relic right now. Trebs trying to take that castle down. There is monks trying to convert the Halberdiers in here. But if you use your conversion power on the Halberdiers, you won't have anything for the Onagers. That castle is probably gonna go up, but will soon go down as well. Chukunu is coming from the other side, and guess what? There is no converted Onagers, and this is a good fight. This is a very, very good fight for Hallis' team, because you gotta micro those Kipchak away from the Halberdiers. Now Onagers on the way though. Monks trying to get some conversions, and if you convert the Onagers, you can use them against the Chukanus. So it is gonna be monks still scaring away the Onagers. The castle slowly goes down. Some more castles coming in here for Spring. Let's see if he actually has a production bottleneck. Indeed he does. He isn't really able to keep adding more Kipchaks. Onager gets a shot on the monks, but there will be, I think, one of the Onagers being converted at least. Indeed, if he gets a shot out, that's great, and that was a beautiful shot from Dragonstar with a converted Onager. The castle is still standing. Hallis has an awful lot of stone left to repair. Once again, the Kipchak will try to get a push out here. The Chukanu still just +1 defense. And now it feels more like a Hun horde, to be honest. Trebs and mounted archers, even though it's not Huns, it's actually Kuman Kipchaks. But their team name is Hun Horde, and this is more fitting to that name. The trap TC, the castle goes down, and this is all about buying time for Dragonstar. Their fast team failed, but now the question is, are you gonna have a shot at rebooming here? And it seems like they will. So Dragonstar is slowly climbing in villager count, and there's gonna be Onagers as well for Spring against the Chukanus of the opponent. With those Onagers, you can melt those Chukanus really, really easily. And I feel like we could soon see Spring and Dragonstar switching back to the opponent's base. So here, 2 Onagers getting converted, and they could actually land a shot on those Halberdiers. Make it 3 Onagers getting converted, and despite that, it feels like a very, very underwhelming fight over here for Dragonstar and Spring. There is no Onagers just yet from Spring, it's just now coming in. You need something against those Chukanus soon though. Light Cav coming in right now for Bling, Onagers. Now in, look at that, Monks trying to convert all those Halberdiers. The Monks actually help quite a bit healing up these Kipchaks as well, which is extremely important when they're under this much fire. Onager coming in now, lands a shot on the Chukanus, misses. But those Chukanus will struggle badly against the Onagers. Onagers now coming in for Hallis as well. Dragonstar's team is behind, but they're actually decreasing the deficit. They're decreasing that deficit quite heavily. And there is still a lot of monks over there. Oh my goodness, that's crazy amount of monks for Dragonstar. He's got 17 monks on the field. Look at all those Kipchaks, they're all full HP because the monks heal them instantly. So, still trying to convert the Onagers of the opponent. His Onagers take some shots. But there is a converted Onager, lands a big shot on top of the Chukanu. Now the Halberdier are once again coming out. Kipchak will be firing from the behind. Nice ground attack over there. And Onagers... Bling is splitting away from the Onagers here. One more Onager shot actually connects. And now the monks are slowly going down, and the Kipchak numbers are slowly going down as well. It's only 11 Kipchaks on the field, but there is reinforcements. We already have markets coming up here for Spring and Dragonstar. And in terms of villager count, Dragonstar's team is still quite heavily behind. There will be light cavs, as we talked about that, for Bling to try and deal with the monks in this one. But Dragonstar... Indeed, Dragonstar resources are actually pretty high, so he should actually just make 2 more TCs, or just keep adding trade. That also could be a thing. So, start adding trade, because villager count is going to be less relevant soon, and trade will actually become more important. In terms of relics, let's talk about that for a moment, if this game drags very, very long. Regicide Fortress often delivers great games in 2 pools, so I'm looking forward to some good Regicide games over here. Spring actually did quite a lot of slinging, now that they're in Imperial, to Dragonstar. It is 3 relics right now for his team, 0 for the opponent's team. And, well, it looks like we're gonna have a lot of stables. So now it's Light Cav. Spring is running out of gold. Light Cav, last time I checked, isn't really going to be Chukanu Halberdier, so you need something against that. And you know things are bad when you're using monks to convert Halberdiers. I feel like this is the decisive fight over here, because now the Halberdiers are taking out the Kipchak. Onagers need some insane hits to compensate for this one. And I feel like with that military counter dropping beneath 20 in a matter of seconds, Spring and Dragonstar are out of this. They brought in some new strategies, you can tell that they prepared. The landing on islands, this game plan was also nice, it's just not against Chinese. I feel like the gameplay of Spring and Dragonstar was good, but they also had sort of been outdrafted over here really badly. So, really, giving Slavs to the opponent when your own home map is Regicide Fortress is somewhat unthinkable, to be honest. On the other side, I feel like it would have been much better. Speaking of that, there's a huge Onager hit over there. From Spring. Spring is not ready to go down just yet. It's gonna be awfully hard, but you have to keep in mind that, I mean, Hallis and Bling are still defending, so to say, and oh, this is worth doing a slow-mo on. I don't like breaking the flow of things, but this is worth doing a slow-mo on. That's not 1 hit, that's 2 enormous hits over there on those Chukanus. An absolutely insane hit, and now on the Halberdiers, and suddenly the military numbers aren't looking that bad. We might not see Spring and Dragonstar exiting this tournament just yet. We have some light caps coming in to do raiding in the trade. One thing that we should note, indeed, there is no trade for Hallis and Bling. There's absolutely no trade, and that means that their gold units will be troublesome to replenish, to a point where Bling isn't able to replenish the Chukanus, and there is still quite a lot of Onagers on the field. Now the light cav are coming in to do some raiding, but there is actually Kipchaks to clean this up. I think Spring's team needs to wall this one off, and indeed they're doing so right now. Big Haben siege push coming in on the right side though, as Kebdrams are on the way. Siege Ram is in as well, so Hallis is actually going to start pushing Spring over here. Dragonstar is up to 105 villagers, so given the circumstances, his reboom has actually been pretty nice overall. And now he's going for Burmese light cav over here. In the middle, we have a big push coming in with a lot of Onagers. Treb might actually take a shot on the Onagers, trying to finish them off. And suddenly BlinG is gonna be in a bit of a trouble against that many onagers. Spring gets another castle up, but how is he going to defend against the Halberd and Ram here? He could use Skipchaks and he should use Skipchak, but doesn't have the numbers right now. So I feel like this hub and siege push is what is really going to be very problematic. And with that, like, he's trying to take down the Rams with villagers, but that's not really gonna work. If you get to like 20-ish Skipchak over here, you can actually stop this potentially, but best thing you could do is onagers. You need some onagers over here if you're Spring. You will lose at least 1 or 2 castles. The question is, what can you do on the other side, where BlinG is trying to get a defensive castle up, and he will be successful doing so. Hussar now in for Spring. His score is very, very good. His teammates score not so great, as another castle is gonna be dropped over here by Hallis. As we have rocketry for BlinG for his Chukanus. He still retained quite decent numbers. Military count still heavily in the favor of Hallis and BlinG. And it looks like we'll have Dragonstar attacking into Burmese champions. Burmese and Slavic champions, the 2 best champions in the entire game. As we have some light cavalry coming in here from Dragonstar, he could find a lot of villagers at the back of Hallis' base. So Burmese versus Slavic champion would be an interesting thing. It's the matter of timing though. You are still at Men-at-Arms level, I believe. Blast Furnace Men-at-Arms is gonna be interesting to look at. Skipchak will try to slow this one down as much as possible, and unlike most range units, Skipchak actually deal quite decently against the Rams. So I think this castle has to stay up. This castle has to stay up over here, and I think it will. There is enough light cav and Skipchak to stop this horde of Rams. We had some light cavs raiding from Dragonstar over here, so as well on the right side. In the middle now we have BlinG counter-attacking though. He's gonna have a flood of light cav, and with that, there is gonna be the Trebs coming in. And with that, we have a forward castle here as well for Harris. They're awfully close to the trade of Dragonstar and Spring, but we shouldn't forget something. There is actual trade for Dragonstar and Spring. Hallis and BlinG has no trade, which means that their gold income is extremely limited. And that should be a massive concern, especially when it comes to replenishing the Chukonu here. So it looks good for Hallis and BlinG, but you shouldn't forget the fact that the eco is back on track now for Spring and Dragonstar, and late game oftentimes the presence of trade is more important than, you know, just a temporary momentum, so to say. It depends on Hallis being able to push the trade here. If he's able to take this castle down and push the trade, it once again is going to swing into the favor of Hallis and BlinG. Nice move over there to take down the Onager with the light cav, or at least that's probably the plan. Some more light cav coming in. Burmese light cav are actually pretty nice. I think it's fully upgraded Hussar. They can even go for some anti-building damage increase with the Manipur Cavalry unique tech. And trading Hussar against Chukonu is actually pretty reasonable. What's actually pretty bad though is that this castle seems like it's going down. And still quite a lot of Chukonu are left on that hill. Castle being trapped right now over here. Now it's 200 swordsmen for Dragonstar with pretty decent upgrades on them. But you're gonna dive in with the Skipchak and snipe those traps, or at least somehow save this castle. This castle must not be allowed to go down. Champions now coming out. We still have some raids coming in from Hussars, so Hallis' team establishing trade right now, but there's already some barracks over here to push the left side. Still, now I feel like Hallis and BlinG are stabilizing it. They're the one on the offensive right now. Onager is getting some nice shots in on top of those Skipchak, and those Skipchak are actually very, very hard to replenish because you don't really have that many castles to produce Skipchak on. Big Onager shots over here, as always, in for Hallis, and the Trebs are still standing. This castle at half HP. Now the Skipchaks will dive in and try to snipe one of the Trebs, but once again will be unsuccessful. You are almost ready finishing off one trap though, and the other trap could be picked off as well. So that's the weak part, but now it's going to be another weak part as well, as BlinG's going to start pushing the base of Dragonstar. Military numbers still in the favor of Hallis, and BlinG, another Onager shot comes in here. This is still a somewhat open game, especially if this castle goes down and Spring can actually launch a counterattack, but should still be favoring BlinG and Hallis. Nice move over there from Dragonstar, sniping the traps. Extremely important because you need to slow down this force pushing into your base. So you gotta stop this with something, or at least slow it down. Siege Rams will be coming in here for Bling as well. There isn't really a lot of raiding done anymore by Hallis+BlinG and Dragonstar. They both seem to have a bit of an overboom, but the bigger problem is that Dragonstar has no army. Dragonstar has absolutely no army. He's very, very low on gold. And the problem is that Burmese skirmishers are awful. They don't even have +2 defense, so you can't just go skirmisher against the Chukanus, even temporarily, because what you need to is to slow this army down. It looks like he's waiting for Hussar. He's waiting for a lot of Hussar, but there is already siege rams, so his base is gonna get pushed very soon. He might actually try his own onagers over here. So, with that, now the hill is on the side of Spring, but once again, he isn't really focusing that much on saving those skipjacks from the onagers, and that's a problem. Now, once the siege workshops go down, it's gonna be a little bit harder to pop out the onagers for Hallis, but he loses the traps so easily. And I would say that the problem right now for Spring and Dragonstar is that they're losing way too many units in this push. Way too many skipjacks overall for Spring. In this one. Remember that this is up against the Slavs that they gave to the opponent. So maybe they regret giving Slavs to Hallis and BlinG here, because especially on such a closed map, Slavs is a top civilization, so I'm not sure if that was the right idea. There's a couple of champions here, but they won't really do much. And while this castle once again is under fire from a sneaky trap on the right side, should not really be a big deal to deal with, but this is not something that Spring can afford. Oh my goodness. As I said, replenishing skipjacks is always very hard because you need the castles, and losing skipjack like that is a disaster. Losing a castle like this to a completely undefended trap is even more so a disaster. So you see that Spring is looking somewhere else, probably over here in the middle, trying to push against those archers, but there is a need for a lot more units from Dragonstar. And that castle, as I said, needs to stay up, and he's going to lose this castle over here to a trap that was completely undefended. 2 skipjacks would have stopped that trap. And now the trade is wide open for raiding, whereas the opponent's trade is actually fairly well defended with defensive castles all over the place. It is going to be a forward castle coming in from BlinG, will soon be cancelled by some onagers. And now it's going to be a run by onager. Now, keep in mind that Aram by Onager is a very scary unit composition. It's one of the strongest ones in the game, because there isn't really anything that can destroy that. So, if Dragonstar gets to good Aram by numbers, he's got 2 castles right now, and he's making traps on it, so it doesn't seem likely. Aram by Onager could be something to consider. Now it's plate mail, so he will probably tech into some more swordsmen over here. Once again, Spring is throwing away way too many units. So, Spring still has a positive KD, but if you compare it to the fact that he's actually using Kipchak against Halberdier, this isn't an impressive KD from him, and you see that the Kipchaks that are lost to the Halberdiers are way more valuable than the Halves themselves. So this is a good scenario for the Halberdier player, being able to spam this one. Bombard Tower coming in here from BlinG. I wonder if he's gonna send some Watches over here to secure this position. It's gonna be Watchtowers for Spring. Do Cumans have Guard Tower? I don't think they do, right? It doesn't really matter either, because like, they are still outnumbered military-wise very heavily, and big fight in the middle. Aram by Onager is scary. Simple Onager without Aram by isn't, because the cavalry will eat this. If this was 20 Aram by, they would just eat the cavalry, but these are way too many units thrown away by Spring's team. They went for the creative, fast team play, and they actually dragged out the game quite long given the circumstances, but they just lost way too many valuable units, and they were never really able to redeem themselves after those losses. And that's where their journey could potentially end in tuples, because they had some creative strategies, I have to say. They had some creative strategies. I like the landing, I liked this fast imp attempt. It's a matter of potentially misdrafting this a little bit, and the other factor, which is the bigger one, being just losing too many units for little gain. Chinese and Slavs are 2 top-tier civilizations on this map. I feel like they now regret giving Slavs to the opponent, because, like, you could have given something else. anything. Like, you could have given Hans, for example. Obviously, Hans could have been useful elsewhere, but Slavs is a no-brainer pick for this map. Alongside Chinese, which once again is a no-brainer pick. They're trying to hold this one as much as possible, but I feel like we're just looking at a matter of when and not a matter of who. A lot of siege gems on the field, still a decent amount of Chukonus, although Onager gets a shot out, gets the edge of that blob. But it's Light Cav and Onager now versus Chukonu, Siege Ram, Heavy Cavalry as well. But more importantly, the other side, there is no more trade for Spring and Dragonstar. And in a team game, when the trade goes down, the game is pretty much over. Light Cav now sniping the Onagers, it was a nice move, but still the Kipchak trying to kill the Siege Onagers. Once again, there's way too many Kipchaks dying like this. This is not something that you can afford, especially when you don't have trade going for you anymore. He lost like 20 Kipchaks once again for 2 Onagers, and at the end, Onagers are still holding this one, so it's a valiant effort from Dragonstar and Spring. But unless they are able to do some massive damage to the opponent on the other side, this is going to be troublesome. It looks like this is going to be the plan. 2 sneaky traps free actually from Dragonstar with no defense, trying to contest this castle and potentially open up the trade for some raiding. They still believe that Thresh could save them the game. They had 4 relics in this game, but still double the army right now for Hallis' team. This castle slowly going down, and this is what the problem with undefended traps. They will damage that castle, but it's not going to matter. And I think we're just waiting when Spring and Hallis, or Spring and Dragonstar will call this one. They played well, but Hallis+BlinG will actually have a chance to show their skills in next week. And I think, not next week, what am I talking about? On the weekend in the Deciders. And I think if I would have to summarize this game, I would actually summarize it with this last couple of minutes, or even last couple of seconds. Like 30 Kipchak getting Onager down. Spring just lost way too many expensive units for Halberdiers, and well, obviously Onagers are hard to evade. I'm not blaming him from that perspective, it's hard, but when you look at the recorded games, the end result is the same. The reason why they're losing is because they're losing very, very expensive units. Kipchaks aren't super expensive, but it's hard to replenish them, especially when you lose your castles. They cost gold when you don't have trade, so there is some trade being established here, but that's somewhat wacky, so it's not really great, to be honest. And Spring's base is now getting absolutely annihilated. And I think that on the weekend, we'll have Hallis+BlinG fighting against the Salts, right? So Winchester and Classic Pro, and I have to say that this team, Hallis+BlinG, they played clean. It wasn't perfect, but it was a fairly clean gameplay. So even though Salts is gonna be the favorite if they actually get there, I would think that this is going to be a very, very tough one for Salts, because this team is looking really good. It's not perfect, but you can see that there weren't really huge amount of errors being made by these players. Maybe in this game the only thing I could criticize for BlinG, for example, was that big Onager shot that he has eaten. So now with his siege rams knocking on the castle, the king is inside. The king is inside. So if this castle goes down, remember the king, when the castle is set on flames, the king is going to ungarrison to the rally point. And the rally point often is a place where you send your Kipchak at, so it could be in the middle of the field. And the king is still inside. There is not really any unit that can kill the king though, so that could be sort of a relief for a Spring. Like, they're trying to hang on here, and it looks like the king now is running to the back, jumps into the town center for now. There is kings? Yes, there is kings. This is Regicide Fortress and not Simple Fortress. No one plays Simple Fortress. This is... tournaments always play Regicide Fortress. Spring somehow is miraculously holding this one. Crazy. Crazy, crazy hold over here from him. But still, I don't know what kind of magic it would require for Spring and Dragonstar to come back into this one. They haven't been able to touch the opponent's eco for forever, basically. So I'm really unsure what Hallis and Spring would need to do to lose this. So Onagers once again coming in here from our blue player, as this is going to be some fairly big Onager shot. The castle does go down, And we do have the king still inside this castle, or this TC. So you gotta be careful with that. This TC is slowly going down. Now Spring is being a lot more careful about his Kipchaks. On the other side, however, Dragonstar is slowly getting eaten up by Chukanus. He's trying his best, and he's getting to the ideal unit composition of Arambai Onager. If he gets to like 30 Arambai with 5-6 Onagers, suddenly the Chukanus can't really do much against that. So this might be a valiant horde, and I did mention that this is a crazy game on Regicide Fortress, and oftentimes Tupus yields crazy games on Regicide Fortress. We have seen multiple instances of this one, and well, the hold is here. Spring hasn't lost a Kipchak for quite a while now. Obviously it's hard with Onagers against Siege Onagers, especially Slavic Siege Onagers, but he's holding this one for now. As I'm saying that he's about to lose a couple of Kipchak. He is going to lose a couple of Kipchak, but he has absolutely improved his unit control now, and with monks being behind, they can actually heal the Kipchak. On the north, disaster strikes though, and most of the Arambai will get picked off. You can't afford to lose your Arambai. You have to keep them together with the Onagers, otherwise Chukanu eat Arambai. Trebs shelling a castle over here as well. There is only one castle to produce a Arambai on for Dragonstar, and he's actually making Trebs on it, knocking on the walls with a ram. And now they tap out. Now they tap out. Where did the Kipchak go? Hold on. We gotta rewind this. We gotta rewind this. Okay? Because I feel like the reason why the GG happened will be hidden in here. And indeed, we weren't looking at here, but I was like, if they actually played until now, why are they resigning right now? That is because of this. You look away for a second if you're Spring, and you lose all your Kipchaks. And without those Kipchaks, it's actually going to be indeed GG. Even with them, it was like 1% chance for Spring and Dragonstar with the position they were in. But without the Kipchaks, Spring is down to 5 military. They tried it. I appreciate the preparation, and I appreciate the somewhat unique strategies that they went for. The aggressive landing, the fast imp play. But I feel like the draft was slightly better for Hallis+BlinG, and it's a very, very significant part of this tournament. Hallis+BlinG looking extremely strong, and honestly, it wasn't just, you know, Spring and Dragonstar playing bad. Hallis+BlinG actually played really, really well. So, Spring and Dragonstar looked sharp, but they got outplayed in general. There was no major critical mistakes done from them. Some of their strategies didn't work out. I feel like the draft wasn't that great. But at the end, it's just Hallis+BlinG proving better. And Hallis+BlinG will actually get one of the strongest opponents out there. That's going to be Salts. So, Winchester and Classic Pro, they will need to be careful with this team. Because even though Salts will be the favorite, it's not that obvious that they will have an easy time. Especially because there's a lot of maps in the map pool, and Hallis+BlinG might find some that they love against Salts, and they will be the ones fighting as that in the weekend. I have to say that that is one of the series that I'm most hyped about right now. So with that, Hallis' team advances to the next round of the qualifiers.